Hey, how's it going? This is Technical Tim here, and I want to thank everyone so much who's been liking all my videos and subscribing to the channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up, or subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm here to do a quick little final thoughts video on the Shevchenko-Carmouche card, and so if you listen to my podcast with Gugabe, I kind of gave most of my thoughts on all the fights on that, but like I said, we kind of record those in the middle of the week. Sometimes I'm not always done taping, and my opinions can deviate a little bit. They're usually broadly still the same, but you guys know how it is. If your opinions from like Tuesday to Friday are a lot different. It's currently Friday night, so I'm going to kind of just re-go over the ones where my opinions have deviated a little bit, or I'll just summarize and kind of dismiss the fights if I haven't really changed my opinion. But I want to give you a couple picks because I have settled on a couple picks that I'm actually quite confident on. So let's go through it. And yeah, first fight of the night, Polyana Viana and Macedo. I'm not playing this. Like, opinions haven't changed. I think it's a mess of a fight. I want no part in this. De Silva Vargas. I think this is a line error, by the way. I think De Silva is still like minus 280 to 300. I think Silva probably wins and is the rightful favorite. Don't really care. A little bit of a mess of a fight. And this is where I actually have a play. Most people are on Cruz Gutierrez over Geraldo de Freitas here, but I'm going the other way. I'm pretty confident de Freitas will get this done, and usually the fights I do the best in are fights that pre-tape I don't have any attachment towards, and I really don't have any strong opinions on. And that's kind of how I felt about this fight before I taped. I really thought Gutierrez probably has a striking advantage and has like a striking path here, and de Freitas had a grappling advantage and had the grappling path there, and that's really all I kind of thought. And then once I taped, I'm pretty confident de Freitas gets this done, and I'll kind of go into depth on this one for 5 to 10 minutes real quick, just so you guys can kind of see where I'm coming from. But the way I see it is, what I said before is kind of right, in a way. It's just a little more specific than that. But I think Chris Gutierrez is probably a little bit better of a striker, and I think his path to victory is striking and keeping it on the feet. And Geraldo de Freitas his kind of path to victory is grappling and mixing things up, in my opinion. But what I noticed about Gutierrez is he really, and I had this written down in my notes before the McDonald fight, and I think I had tweeted out before that fight that Gutierrez was going to land a lot of calf kicks, and it would kind of be key, because that's really his go-to. And he chewed up McDonald in that fight with those. But I think his calf kicks, like, I don't think him just keeping it on the feet, striking is the way to win. I think really all his game really is kind of calf kicks. I think he's going to have to calf kick his way to victory here. So I think it's a more specific striking method than just striking. It's going to pretty much be calf kicks, because another thing I noticed is not only is that all he really throws, he doesn't land head strikes. Against McDonald, he barely landed any head strikes, and McDonald was a fucking punching bag in that fight, so he really is just kind of exclusive body kick and low kicks, especially calf kicks. And when I noticed that, I was like, okay, like, he's going to have to calf kick his way to victory against de Freitas, and I noticed de Freitas pressures a lot to get his takedown game going and mix in kind of like, and he'll throw hands. De Freitas can get in the inside and throw hands too. That, like, he's not like a great striker, but he's actually kind of effective there. But whenever you pressure someone and you're forcing takedowns and you're kind of throwing a lot of the inside punches, that pressure tends to take away your kicking game because you're backing up a little bit. And I don't think Gutierrez is just going to easily be able to throw calf kicks in this fight. And then also, if he throws calf kicks, I've seen de Freitas in regional fights catch calf kicks and turn them into takedowns, and de Freitas he's pretty relentless with his takedowns. I think his last fight, Kolaris is a little underrated, in my opinion, and is a pretty good grappler. And de Freitas was able to just kind of keep shooting double legs and body lock takedowns from the clinch. And I think those calf kicks may not be effective because he's going to be going backwards a little bit and be a little hesitant to throw them because of the takedowns, especially if one gets caught. And so that's why I don't know if Gutierrez's striking game will really get going too much. I mean, I won't be surprised if he lands some calf kicks here and there, but I just don't think he'll be able to do it for 15 full minutes. And the grappling discrepancy is pretty big in this fight. I see a lot of people think Gutierrez can stop these takedowns. I don't. I think De Freitas has good takedowns, and I think he has a really pretty explosive double leg, and he gets a lot of like powerful he has a powerful level change whenever he does it. He really showed that in the Colares fight. And Gutierrez, his takedown defense just isn't that good against Barcelos. He was kind of getting taken down with some weak takedowns, and I don't think Barcelos' takedowns are all that much better than De Freitas at all. And Gutierrez, once he gets taken down, he doesn't really have a get-up game. He just doesn't do too much, and he's kind of just flat on his back. And De Freitas is a good passer, and I think he's just going to be able to pass a lot on the floor in advance and get a lot of takedowns and kind of just have his way with Gutierrez on the floor. And I also think Gutierrez started to break due to the grappling to Barcelos, and I could see that happening here because De Freitas will consistently land takedowns even if you do get up, and I don't think Gutierrez's get-up game is nearly as good as Colares, and I think De Freitas is going to win this. I'm pretty confident, and he might finish him due to the ground advancement on the floor too. So I'm pretty confident De Freitas gets this done. I could be wrong, I could be I'm pretty confident here. I think I would cap him more in the minus 250 range. I really think he's gonna win this fight. Paiva Bontorin, I'm not playing this. Rodriguez Torres, I put a small play on that goes the distance at minus 275, minus 300 earlier in the week, around that range. I do think Marina is the value side at these odds, and I predicted on the Gugabe podcast that these lines would probably close, and I continue to think that. I do think if you want to bet Marina, you should probably do it now, because I think this is going to close. I really do. I think Marina's volume numbers are too good for sharp action to not come in. Gain Pessoa, I think Gain's going to kind of destroy him there. I don't know if I would play him at that line though. Burns Konchenko, this is my other straight bet, and I believe Konchenko is going to win this fight against Burns. And pre-tape, I was leaning Konchenko, and then after I taped, I got a lot more confident. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I wrote them down on paper. What I see in this fight is Konchenko, usually the main concern with him is his volume, but I noticed the two times he really will land or open up is if you pursue him and you're aggressive with him, and then he'll counter. And Burns does that. He kind of blitzes offense together. He's not really a composed striker, Burns, where Konchenko is super technical, super tight, and super disciplined. But Burns will kind of just blitz in, and I feel like that will open up counters, and it will make Konchenko kind of throw. And then the other time Konchenko will start throwing is if you start getting uncomfortable and you're backing up like Burns. We saw that against Okami, and we saw that in other fights on regional tape. And Burns is the type of guy I've noticed where you've seen it in a lot of his fights. If he can't mix in takedowns with his striking's not very effective. If he's forced to stand for 15 minutes in other previous fights, even against Michel Prazeres back in the day, and even Dan Moret had some success on him, but he doesn't have the best defensive striking. It's all kind of based on his offensive explosions, and I think he's going to be forced to stand a little bit. I'll get to the grappling in a second, but I think he'll be forced to stand, and I think in a 15-minute kickboxing match, Konchenko's too technical to not land clean, and I think it will start the second scenario of when Konchenko starts landing, the first being whenever you're aggressive on Konchenko, and the second is whenever you're kind of unconfident and you're going backwards and kind of starting to become hittable, like Konchenko did to Okami, and he really opened up. I think Burns will start feeling discouraged after he realizes he can't just kind of bully Konchenko with takedowns or land blitzes on him. I think Burns really needs to hurt Konchenko to win here. I think he's just going to have to hope that he lands a big punch. But I really think Konchenko is going to be able to walk him down at some point in this fight and really start to tee off. And I think he could finish Burns. If he doesn't, I think he's just going to kind of like pick him apart a little bit. We'll see if Burns survives, but I think Burns might break. And then as far as like the wrestling goes, Burns, a lot of his game depends on mixing in takedowns with his striking, and that's when his striking's a little bit better. And when his striking goes to shit, or whenever his takedowns go to shit, his striking tends to as well. And I really like Konchenko's hips and his takedown defense. He whizzers well on single legs, and Burns is a good wrestler for a jiu-jitsu guy, a really good wrestler. But I think Konchenko's overall defensive wrestling's awesome. I think Burns' grappling path is getting a standing back take, like a back take on a quick takedown where he happens to catch Konchenko by surprise, and I think it has to be early in the fight. I think Burns will mostly fail on most takedowns. I could see him getting one or two if he has a lot of attempts and just times it right, but Konchenko I think will be right up, and I think Burns will have to take advantage of some type of back take. And I just think Konchenko's a little too schooled for that. And I think Konchenko's going to be able to sprawl and brawl and kind of beat up Burns as the fight goes on. And I'm confident in that fight. I think Konchenko's going to kind of light him up. And the low volume with Konchenko has always been a concern for me. And I know a lot of people are talking about that during this fight week. And trust me, you guys know I pay attention to volume numbers more than just about anyone. But I think you have to contextualize the volume numbers. And I think another fight where we did that was Leon Edwards against RDA. I talked about the reasons why I think Leon Edwards' volume was being a little bit over exaggerated against RDA, and I thought he was going to be the better striker in that, and his volume would be fine in that matchup. And I think the same here. Whenever Burns is aggressive, or if he starts getting discouraged or backing up, I think Konchenko is going to be able to open up. Moffitt Barzola, I decided not to play this. I still kind of have the same opinions. I don't really care. Piachota Vieira, this is still a TBD, to be decided. I'm probably not going to play it. I'm thinking about playing Vieira, even at his juiced odds, but I kind of want a better price. So I'm going to see if there's any line changes. Other than that, I don't think I'm going to play this, so we'll see. Latifi Özdemir, not playing. Bandone Garagori, not playing. Luque Perry, I was thinking about playing Luque, but I decided to stay away from it. And then Carmouche Chev, no play. So those are my overall opinions. I'm really all I have right now is I'm on De Freitas. Oh, he's getting steamed right now, De Freitas. I'm on De Freitas and Konchenko. I got them both at minus 125, and I think their line did get hit a little bit on some of these. But I think you can still get that price for most of them. So I think those are good plays. And I also think the Rodriguez-Torres fight, I hit a minus 275 to 300 line of them going the distance. But those are my plays. And good luck, everybody. And if you have any questions or anything, you can just DM me on Twitter or comment below. Thanks. Bye.